Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and I am bringing you a brand new project recipe for a collection that came out this year in March called On the Farm. And so let's check out my desktop and see what's coming up. All right, so this is the On the Farm collection, and this is a collection that came out about 6 weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, and or about a month. I'm trying to wait at least a month to 6 weeks or so before I show these to you, because there are a lot of advisors that really would like to have this for a time without there being YouTube videos out there about them. So I'm trying to honor that and give them some time to use this with their customers before I go ahead and put this out for you guys to see. So I apologize if that frustrates you, but you know, it's a balancing system. And anyway, this is a super cute collection, and it sold out a lot of things very quickly, so hopefully you have it. If you don't, you could certainly use another collection to create this, as long as you have this border punch, which is the kind of the key to this particular layout. However, you could use another border cartridge to create this layout, and just completely flip it around, you know, and just use something different in these blocks right here besides the farmhouse punch, which is what we're going to use, or the what's it called? I'm sorry, the barn and fence. So just know that if you have the farmhouse collection, it is really cute. Pull it out and we'll do this together. And if you don't have it, that's totally fine. You could use this with another collection very easily, and just substitute the punch right in here with a different Border Maker cartridge. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. First, let me show you what I have on my desktop. I have a selection of papers. I have 2 base papers. I'm going to use the chicken wire papers as our bases. I have a piece of hot fudge cardstock, the red gingham sheet, and the yellow floral sheet, which has these sunflowers on the back. And so that will help you. I also have the sticker pack, which we're going to be using later. I'm going to set that aside for now, and we will get to it eventually. And then the Barn and Fence Border Maker cartridge, which we already talked about. And I have just a couple of the mats from the mat pack, because the actual example that they show here uses a mat right here, with some stickers, embellishments in front of it. It actually uses this mat right here, but I figured these 3 would be probably the most appropriate for what I'm going to use it for. And I'm actually thinking I'm probably going to use this one right here that says Fun on the Farm, and use it for my garden pictures that we expect to have. We just put in our garden yesterday, actually. So it is a baby garden right now. Doesn't literally look like a whole lot, but in a few weeks it'll be much more impressive, I hope. Anyway, so we'll set those aside for now too, but we'll get to them later. And I'm going to set my base sheets aside as well, because we won't need those right away. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is go ahead and punch our cardstock. So I'm going to move the designer sheets as well. We'll get to them in just a second here. And we're going to punch our farm. Let me flip this to our cutting guide. So on the cutting guide, you'll see we need our hot fudge cardstock. That's going to be everything in the green right here. Then I've got my designer paper number 1, which is going to be the yellow flower paper, and designer paper number 2, which is going to be my red gingham. So let's go ahead and just work our way through this cutting guide. So we're going to first punch this row, and then we're going to cut it. So let's go ahead and I'll just load my Border Maker. If you don't already have the Border Maker system, then I'm sure if you've watched my channel at all, you will know that I highly recommend it. It is the most economical system that we have that will give you a variety of decorative punches, and allow you to do a lot of different things with your pages. So it is one of my favorite tools. Not my most favorite tool, because that would be my trimmer, but it is a favorite for sure. So let me just get rid of that confetti. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and trim this at 1 1/4 inches, which is what it says right here. It says punch, then cut at 1 1/4 by 12. So we're going to push this up so that the tips of our barn are at 1 1/4 inches right here. And we're going to just go ahead and cut that off and set that aside over here. All right, then we're going to go ahead and cut a piece that is 2 3/4. So I'm going to measure on the left-hand side now. So 2 3/4 is right here. So we're going to go 2 3/4, set that aside. Then I'm going to cut 2 of them that are each going to be at 1 1/2, and I can do that from either side. So I'm going to opt to measure it on my right hand side so that the balance of my paper can be kept straight down here at the lower portion, the lower shoulder, where I can hold it. So there's one that's 1 1/2. We'll scoot this over and do a second one at 1 1/2. Okay, so that is all that we need of our hot fudge paper. And actually I'm going to move that over here so it's a little bit easier to keep it separated. I'm going to set that extra piece of hot fudge to the side, then grab my yellow flower paper. This is non-directional paper. There's not a right way, an up or a down, so it doesn't matter which side you use. And the first thing I need is a 1 1/2 by 12 inch piece, so I'm going to go ahead and cut 1 1/2 by 12 inches. Then I'm going to cut a 3 inch piece, so I'm going to scoot this over so I can cut 3 inches. Okay, then I'm going to cut 3 3/4 inches, which is going to be over here. I love our grid lines because they tell me right away if my paper is straight or not, which is really nice. So the 3 3/4 inch piece, we're going to need to turn and cut at 6 inches. These are going to be mats. And I have my little tab right here that tells me where 6 inches is. If you don't have one of those, I suggest you either make one or you'll have to fold out your arm so you can see where the 6 inch mark is. Now the remaining bit of our paper should measure 3 3/4, and it's pretty close. Right, pretty spot on there. Okay, so I need 2 more mats that are each 5 1/2 inches. And 5 1/2 inches is the very edge of my trimmer right here. So if I just put my finger on the very very edge of my trimmer, then I know I'm at 5 1/2 inches. And then I can just move this piece over and cut another one at 5 1/2 inches. And this little piece is just extra. And these are mats also, so I'm going to set them up there. And grabbing my red gingham paper, we're going to take this. This has a plaid on the back, so again, not directional. We can cut it however makes us happy. I'm going to cut this one at 2 1/4. And unfortunately, the right-hand side of my paper does not go more than 1 3/4. So I have to use this side to measure. So there's my 2 1/4, and then I'm going to cut 2 inches off of this piece because it is supposed to be 10 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 inches here. Okay, and then this piece is extra. I'm going to set that over there. And I'm going to set this over here for right now. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut at 5 1/4. 5 1/4. And I'm going to turn this and cut 3 at 3 3/4. So we have 3 mats that are the same size, 5 1/4 by 3 3/4. So there's 1, and here's 2, and 3 3/4. Here we go. You know, I hear people every now and then not sure about making mats the sizes that are given in a sketch. But let me just let you know that if you're more comfortable, you can wait until you have photos. That's completely up to you. Or if you are like me, you realize that, you know, when you take a photo, usually what you want to see is going to be right in the middle of your picture. So you can trim off a little bit and still and have the meat of what you want still seen in the picture. So it's up to you whether you want to cut your mats now or wait and cut them later. But you generally you're okay to trim off just a tiny bit around the edges of your photo, and it won't make an impact on what you're showing in your layout. Okay, this last piece is made from the last mat we need is taken from the remainder of the paper. This is what was left after I made that last cut. I'm just going to turn it to the side, and it should be about 4 1/2 inches. Mine is just a hair over, but it'll be fine. And I need it cut at 6 1/2 inches. So I'm going to measure to 6 1/2 over here. And if you're wondering why sometimes measurements are a little wider or a little bit shorter than they ought to be when you feel like you're using your trimmer exactly, if you put your paper you're going to cut almost to the line, you're going and cut it, or you put it right on the line and cut it, or you put it just over the line and cut it, you're going to get a different measurement by the end of by the time you get to the end of your cutting guide. So just keep that in mind. It does make a difference. Eventually it does add up, depending on how many cuts you're making in your paper. And we are going to need to cut just a little bit more, because you'll notice we have individual boxes that go right here. So those pieces are going to need to be cut. So let me just check the instructions here for a second. Okay, so we're going to take our border that we punched, and we're going to cut this into 2-inch sections. So what I would suggest is, if you're going to use this border up here, this shoulder up here, that you flip your border over so you have your flat edge against that shoulder. If you're going to cut using this border down here, then have your flat edge against this border down here. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this border down here. I think it's just going to be easier for me. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this into 2-inch sections. So I've got 1 and 2. Three and 4, and this last cut will make 5 and 6. All right, so 5 and 6. And as we lay them out, we're going to flip over every other one so that the barn is on the opposite side, kind of like that. All right, so that's how we're going to lay them out. But we have one more thing we need to do. All right, so we're going to take these 2 longer pieces that we have of the yellow and the red, and we're going to cut them down as well. So the yellow is going to be cut into 2-inch sections. So I'm just going to cut this into 2-inch sections as well. And we're also going to be flipping them back and forth. Flipping the yellow back and forth. So if you, whatever paper you choose for this one, you need to like both sides. All right, so I have 6 2-inch pieces of yellow, and then each of these red pieces I'm going to cut at 1 3/4 inch. So I'm going to measure this, and we're going to cut it this way. Let me just make sure. Yeah, we're going to cut it this way at 1 3/4. 2. We should have 6 of these as well. 3, 4, 5, and this last one is not the right size, which is crazy. So I'm going to grab my extra little piece that we cut off, and we're going to cut this at 1 3/4. How in the world did that work? Hopefully I didn't steer you wrong here, but now we've got all the pieces that we need for that. All right, so let's see here. Now I'm gonna just move these onto my workspace here real quick. There we go. I think we're done with our trimmer, so I'm just going to set that to the side. And I'm going to grab my brown cardstock, and we're going to, I beg your pardon, going to grab, let's see, yeah, the brown cardstock and my adhesive, and we're going to put all right, so I'm just centering this on here. Hopefully that lighting is better. I don't know, it sort of doesn't feel as bright as it was. Hopefully that helps. Centering the brown strip onto the yellow strip. So we have a little bit of an edge on the outside. Then we're going to take each of these red strips is going to have a white, or I'm sorry, we're going to put a yellow strip inside of it. Centered right in the middle. Like that. Then I'm going to grab my repositionable adhesive. And we're going to align this with the bottom of the yellow piece and center it. Should be right on the edge of the yellow. My cutting was just a tiny bit off, as you can see there. That's all right. Now, as you do this with your yellow squares, you're going to flip every other one of them over, so that you don't have all of them the solid yellow. Some of them have these cute little sunflowers on them. And I'm just lining these up kind of along here we'll actually adhere them in just a minute. So every other one. Oh, got my repositionable adhesive by mistake. That's okay. Make sure your farmhouses are flipped so that every other one is on one side or the other. Almost done. Do you see how you could use this with just about any punch? Any of your Border Maker cartridges are going to be 2 inches, or that 1 3/4 inches wide. So you could certainly do this with a different punch and create all kinds of different layouts with it, which is fun to find a cute layout like this that's versatile. All right, so now we're going to mount these on this strip, and we're going to make the top one. I'm going to use my repositionable adhesive because I don't want to be locked in if I need to adjust them, and I might need to adjust them, but hopefully not. We're going to start at each end and put these down about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom and 1/8 of an inch from the top, and centered from right to left. Okay, and then each one of these in between is going to have about 1/4 of an inch in between. We'll see if I need to do any adjusting when we're done. That's pretty close. I don't think I'm going to worry about adjusting any of those. Just pushing them all down. Okay. Now we're going to grab our base sheets and go ahead and assemble this. So let me just grab this. I'll set it right up there so you can see it. I'm going to grab one of these brown strips that we cut earlier, and we're just going to add some adhesive all the way down. And it's going to go about 1/2 inch in from the edge. This is working on the left-hand side piece. Left-hand page of our layout. Okay, then we're going to grab, let's see, we're going to grab our yellow mats. We need our 3 red mats that are going to go up this way. And then we have our yellow mats, which are the two smaller ones that are going to go here. Just a tiny bit over that brown edge. And these are going to be centered. So just going to put a little bit of repositionable adhesive, because you know how I like to have options so that when I get those garden pictures, I will be able to decide what I want to have vertical and what I want to have horizontal. But a little bit of repositionable adhesive right in the middle will most likely be covered if I need to turn it, and should pop off fairly easily. So I'm just going ahead and putting this at about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom of my layout. This one's going to be about 1/4 of an inch from the top, and centered between the edge of the yellow mats and the center, or the right edge of my base paper. And then if I did it right, they'll line up and I won't have to adjust anything. Good, woohoo, they line up pretty good. Okay, so that page is all set. Now let's go ahead and do the right hand side of the page. So we're going to do the same thing with our piece of brown that we cut. Because I just started a new cartridge of adhesive, it tends to want to run out fast. I have to be more careful about how I use it so that it doesn't pull more adhesive out than what I want. Okay, so we've got that one there. We're going to put our farmhouses down on the left, which is more in the center of our layout. And it's going to be roughly the same distance from the center. Actually, I'm going to put mine more like 1/4 of an inch from the center. There we go. Okay. Now these two yellow mats are going to go here, and this red gingham mat will go up here. So just going to go ahead and add this mat. And the way that I'm putting this on here is 1/4 of an inch from the bottom and 1/4 of an inch from the edge of my brown strip that I have on this side. You don't need to measure. I'm just giving you those measurements for guidelines so that you have an idea in case you can't tell on the video. Okay, so there's my two yellow mats. And this one up here, I'm going to go ahead and put down, because this one's going to have a photo mat on top of it. So this one I'm just going to center between the edge of the brown and the edge of the yellow over here. Oh, and of course it moved before I set it down, but I think it's okay. It's a little crooked. Hang on. If you want, you can use the vertical lines in the chicken wire to help you keep it straight. It's always nice when that's an option. Okay, so now I need my On the Farm Fun mat, which I'm going to put up here to carry the yellow, and add just a little bit of green because there will be a lot of green from the photos from the garden. We have a lot of agriculture in our area here, but I don't often have a lot of farm photos. I do, however, have garden photos, so that's what's going to go on my pages here. So we're going to use that, and we're going to pretend that we have our own little farm, which is kind of what a garden is, right? So these are the stickers that we have to embellish with, which are super fun and cute. And because I'm using a different mat than the one that they have used, we don't have to do what they have done, but in the example that you see here where they used the Down on the Farm or the Farm Life, they used this Down on the Farm mat and then they covered this up with a sticker, I believe. Let's see. Well, maybe not. It does say Farm Life on here though, and I don't have a sticker that says Farm Life. How funny. I thought it was a sticker. Anyway, check out the other, maybe there's another mat that says Farm Life that I missed as I was going through the mat pack. That's possible. But they also used this sticker right here, which is really cute, and we'll make a little fence. So that you could use that across the base. We could use that across the base of this and then add some animals and a barn. That's what they've got here on the example. And sometimes it's hard to beat the example because it is super cute. Let's see. I need to peel this whole thing up. Try to keep those pieces stuck. There we go. The center pieces wanted to come up. Okay, so we'll just take this and use enough of it to go across the mat card. And then I'm going to use my precision point scissors to go ahead and trim the sticker. And I will go ahead and put the sticker back on my stickers sheet so I can use it again. So we'll stick this back on here, just like so. Okay, that one we've used everything we're going to. Now we should probably add, let's see, we could add an animal or two, although I don't have any animals, so maybe just some vegetables would be a good idea. We could add a tomato. Let me grab my foam squares. We'll add a tomato, and we'll add I like this bushel of apples and this basket of vegetables, which are cool. Some of these may go on our other page though, because we also need to embellish this side. So just set that right there. And actually they've used, as I look now, they've used a sticker, one of the green stickers that is also in the pack, to add some green up the side of the brown strip right here, which would be super cute. We should probably go ahead and do that just to carry some of the green to the other side. So I'll do that in just a minute. But I like the apples. We've got an apple tree in our backyard that we're hoping will give us some apples maybe this year. You can do the wheat and the corn. let's see. I think we're going to use locally grown up here because that is the definition of a home garden, right? That it's locally grown. Oops, put that over there. Okay, so let's see here. Give me just a second to pull all this together. I'm just going to move these so they're a little bit closer. We're going to put this green vine. Ooh, this is kind of tricky to pull off. Be careful if you are doing this, because this doesn't want to come off my sticker sheet. There it goes. The leaves seem to want to stay attached to the sheet. Okay, so I'm going to grab this and lift up my, it's a good thing that I didn't put my mats down, isn't it? Because I want to put this right up the edge of that brown strip. Just like that. So right underneath the yellow. And we can put an embellishment right here. We could put in some embellishments across here. I don't know, maybe something more over in this neighborhood would be good. And what if we put our little box of goodies right here, and we can add our tomato, a big tomato over this way. And we can do our apples. I don't know, this just seems like a lot to be adding that all to the page. You know, maybe what we need is our wheat to kind of pop up the back of this one. And we can put our little tomato right under there. And we can add a couple of more pieces of wheat to this side, like that. There's another piece of wheat that we can add, kind of going out the side. And we'll add another foam square to that to kind of give it some support. Each one of those. And then we can, maybe we'll put that right up in there. Locally grown on the farm. Oop, I forgot my corn. Stick the corn right on there. And we need another bushel, something for our bushel over here. So let's let's add just a couple of these sunflowers. That would be good. All right. So I think that will probably go like so, but we'll see after I kind of look at this for a minute. You'll see in the final photo after I've kind of molded over the embellishments just a little bit more. Maybe we'll put that up here too. I don't know. We'll see. At any rate, I think I'm going to stop there while I think about these embellishments just a little bit. But okay, so this is what I settled on for the embellishments. You know what a hard time I have with clusters and stuff. I went ahead and moved the flowers down here because it kind of helps with the flow, with the eye flow. You know how I try to follow what Noreen Smith says about eye flow. I added some grains of wheat up here and the tomato and the corn to our locally grown sun over here, and I added this stalk of corn right here to our apple bushel and our veggies down here. But just so that you are aware, if you go ahead and put an embellishment like this right in the middle on top of or near your other mats, be careful how you adhere it, because you don't want to adhere it onto a mat, or if you do adhere it onto a mat, you don't want to adhere it so that you can't slip a photo underneath. So all of these have foam squares on the back, but I did not remove the second tab from them, so I can still slip a photo underneath. And same thing here with this flower down here. This flower is not adhered so that I can stick a picture, a photo underneath there. All right. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope that that's helpful, and I hope that you will that you feel inspired to go ahead and create this layout for yourself when you are looking for photos and for a neat, fun option, different way of using your borders, your border makers. I hope that you've enjoyed watching this video today, and I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. And until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Thanks so much. Have a great day.